Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank Area 58 for recording tonight and everyone for coming and presenting. This is the first time as our committee together is going to be doing anything like this. We haven't had a capital outlay committee in a while. So what we're going to do tonight is go through the finance department's capital sheet, and we're just going to go right down the list, if that's okay with everyone, is in order of which departments come up. So the first one on the list, or does anyone have any questions or public comment before I jump into this? Anything? Well, before we do this, how about if we have a town administrator and finance director update?
Okay, so I think we're all new to this.
Yeah.
It's on the board, basically. I understand there hasn't been a capital plan committee, outlay committee for a while. So this is just started my second week, actually, on the job. I come from Kingston, so I kind of know how we did it there, and maybe a lot of that will work here too. So what I understand is that everybody submitted their kind of wish list of capital projects, and that was looked at by the town administrator and put on the sheet. Then the town administrator came up with a second sheet where he made some recommendations, basically, to put together a list of what may be funded another source of funding, or, for instance, it may be a bonding issue or something. And then now you're gonna talk to them and see if we can narrow it down even further. And then it comes back to me to make a recommendation to the finance committee. Then the finance committee sends it back to me, and then I make the recommendation to the Board of Selectmen. So that's a process that I'm looking at. If there's a different way you want to do this, we could talk about that. But I think that way it has a nice smooth movement of the capital plan. Okay?
Absolutely, that's what I was thinking as well. So just so the committee knows, in front of you right now, there's two sheets. They're a large paper, yellow and green. So I've put at the top of it the department, which means it's all the requests that have come in from the departments. And then the other one is the TA, which was from Rick McClond. Just so you know, I did give you another spreadsheet. It's much smaller. It's going to look like this. It's consolidated. It takes everything on these two. It's consolidated to one. And I think it's going to be a little bit easier and make this go smoother tonight as we look through this. Okay, so the first one we have on the sheet is O&M. And again, we can't thank you guys enough for coming in and doing this for us.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, guys.
I'm Dave Seantop, the Director of Operations and Maintenance, and this is John Woods, Deputy Director of Operations and Maintenance. So basically we'll go through and just give a brief explanation of each project or request. If you have any questions, ask individually or at the end.
Yes.
I'll just go through them. Okay. So I'll start off with the largest one. Is there a certain order you'd like me to go in off of your list, or?
So my list is in the, probably the same, yeah, exactly what you have there. Okay. So the first one we have on our list was $100,000 for an energy efficient.
Okay, yeah, so I'll go off this. So this is actually will be our third year requesting this, and this came to fruition when the town adopted the Green Communities Act. We are required to reduce our energy spending by 25% in a 5-year period. So what we have been doing is requesting money from capital outlay, and we've been fortunate. This is our third year. The state has matched our capital funding. So presently I am doing just under $300,000 this year. And basically we had an energy audit done, and they give you in order what your return on investment is for projects. So LED lighting is our biggest, our quickest paybacks. That's what we've been doing. So far, the town library has been done. The school DPW has been done. The school transportation building has been done. The school admin building has been done. They're in the process of doing town hall presently, the entire building, interior and exterior, and part of the middle high school is being done. So with this $100,000, we would apply hopefully for a matching $100,000 grant, and that would give us $200,000 to spend next year, which most likely would be all at the middle high school. That would be our next biggest return on investment. And that would not do the entire building, but it would do sections of
Okay.
it. We'd
So
pick
this
sections.
100,000's for the middle high school also?
Yes, that's
Okay.
most likely where it would be spent, yes. And then we'd apply, like I said, hopefully, we've been fortunate to receive matching grants.
Yeah.
So that's what that would be for. The next project is, I know more than the entire capital budget, but it is a necessity, and my job is to tell you what the needs of the town are. So this is for the town library, and it is for a complete mechanical replacement of heating, ventilating, and air conditioning system. What we have over there is over 20 years old, and it has reached its life cycle. This project actually came to the Capital Outlay Committee, I believe, 2 years ago. Was approved, and then the funding was used elsewhere. So presently, the building does have heat, the building does have ventilation per code. About 50% of the building's air conditioning is functional. The other 50% is not. It does not have a functioning building management system. So it's, in other words, there's no oversight of the entire building. Everything is kind of standalone, now control. So this would be a complete upgrade. It would be going to a VRF system, which is a variable refrigerant flow, which is the way the mechanical world is going. It's what we have in our new fire station. It's what we have in our new police station. They've worked very well. We've been very happy with them. And that would be, it's a difficult project to do. As you know, the cost of everything has gone up anyways. I know it's a very large price tag. And that's the most economical way to look at it. This has been engineered. There was money approved last year. I have sought out an engineer. They have worked on it. They have, their estimate was actually $1.45 million. I've thrown in a little contingency because everything seems to be going up daily. But they feel 1.6 million would do the job. And that is just for the project. The money that we put for the engineering firm is also where they would oversee the bidding process, and they would also provide oversight on the project from start to finish.
So on the sheet, I just wanted to make sure there were 2 line items for 1.6 million. Is that just a duplicate?
It must be. The
Okay.
project is 1.6.
1.6 total,
Estimated,
okay.
yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
So I know Rick had suggested maybe that this could be bonded, so that's something to also think about, where it is such a large project.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys have talked about that or not.
Okay.
Okay.
Any more questions on that?
I have a question on the heating and cooling for you, Beth. How is that different from the system we have at the elementary school?
What we have at the elementary school is gas-fired rooftops with radiant makeup heat individually in each classroom.
And the cooling is basically not a cooling system, it's a...
The
basically
cooling
a-
over there is what they call a dehumidification
Right.
system, so it's not full air conditioning.
Right.
Per se, it does, overall, I think Scott would agree, it's kept the building comfortable.
It's comfortable over
But
there, yeah.
it's not air conditioning. With the library, of course, we get into a little bit more, you need humidity control and dehumidification with the books and the nature
Sure.
of things. Obviously, we can't put rooftops on the library, and
Right.
part of the problem we're up against there's 11 air handling units in the attic of that building, and there's no way to get them out. And there's no way to get anything comparable size back in unless we start opening up the roof.
Okay.
You're getting into major structural.
So these units would be on the exterior, like on the side?
There'd be multiple multiple units inside,
Mhm.
and they would all go to, there'd only be a few units outside, would actually sit where the 11 condensing units sit now for the library. So there wouldn't be any extra exterior components to the library. It would still be residing within the areas on the north side which face the police station, and they are fenced in now. They're hidden.
Okay.
Yep.
And on that building, Dave, was that, I can't remember now, excuse me, are there fans? Those ceilings are tall.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
are there
there are
fans to-
ceiling fans.
Okay, to push
Yeah.
the heat down in the winter?
And part of this, yes, also where it's a public building, we do have to introduce outside air per ASHRAE code. So this also incorporates that. It actually uses some of the existing ductwork for that
Okay.
to save where we can.
All right, thank
Mhm.
you.
Thank you.
And the next project, we've asked for $360,000. There is $390,000 already approved, and that is to replace the siding on this building. The siding on this building is just over 20 years old, and it is made of Homosoap, which is, it's absorbed water. It's very soft, it's deteriorating. It's actually, sections of it have come off. Luckily, the building was sheathed good, so I don't foresee us getting into any structural issues at all, but it's something we do not want to go any further. What this would do would be, of course, the price of materials right now is just astronomical. The siding, it would be to repair and replace any siding, wood trim siding, not siding, the trim of the building that is needed. Otherwise, all trim would be painted, and that's included in this figure. Yeah, I don't even know right now to trim the building out in AZAC, it'd probably double the cost. It's a good idea, but I just don't see it feasible right now. But it would be a complete renovation of the exterior of the building, painting. And what I'm looking at applying is a asphalt siding, cement board siding, hardy plank, which is on the new fire station, on the new police station. It's weathered well, seems very durable, we're very happy with it. And the next item is a skag mower. John can speak on that.
Yeah, just to replace, our oldest mower is about 10 years old. So just to replace one of those mowers go out every day during the fall season. So we're just looking to replace one of those for that.
And the next item down, yes, I don't know why the library ended up on there twice, but you can scratch the second one.
Thanks.
The
I
next,
know, I'm like 3.2 million.
no, 1.6 is scary enough. We don't have to go to 3.2.
That's gonna be cold
for
cash.
sure.
Yeah.
And John can speak on the next one, which is a dump truck.
Yeah, that's to replace our current one-ton, that's 2007, it's got 145,000 miles on it. That also plows, does trash runs, everyday business towing mowers, everything and anything pretty much. So we're looking to replace that with the plow. If I could just jump across, just to fiscal year 27, I see that the street sweeper is on there. That can be removed. We were able to purchase the street sweeper this year through Chapter 90 funds,
You were, okay.
so that can be taken off there.
For 200,000?
Yes.
Okay.
That's good to hear.
Bob, would you guys update this file?
Yes.
Okay.
And the last item, John can
Last
speak
one
on.
is to replace our 1992 wood chipper. It gets used quite a bit. It's 30 years old this time of year. Same thing after storms, the thing is, every day chipping up the brush and, just everyday roadside work that we do and things like that. So I think that's served its time, and I think it's time to replace that before it starts acting up and, costing us some money.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions on the O&M?
I just have one. Is that the oldest dump truck we have in operation now?
It's the oldest one-ton dump truck, yes.
Okay.
For the grounds, I believe is older. The ones the groundskeeper
Yeah,
has,
yeah.
ones the groundskeeper has is older, but that's not used as, worked as heavily
Is
as
this-
the one.
That's mostly at the schools. for the
Right, so-
most part.
Yeah.
So the one you're talking about is just gonna be for plowing, strictly plowing? no sanding, anything like that?
No, this would
So
be
you don't need a
smaller-
sander?
No sanding, but it will be used during
Yeah.
the summer to transport mowers, and that's
Yeah.
what we use on our trash run.
So I know they have the small sanders you can put in the back of a regular dump truck, regular truck.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right,
we don't do that, we have
Yeah.
all our sanders are not big trucks.
okay,
We got good luck with that.
all right, thank you.
Any other questions?
So I didn't say this earlier, though, but I'll be sending out a memo, an email, to ask you to prioritize your list,
Okay.
okay, rather than just having them down there. So if we are looking at cutting it a little shorter, we'll be cutting from the bottom of that list, okay?
Certainly, yeah. That was my next question, actually. It would
Yep.
certainly, willing to work, with all department heads and the school and, for the best of the town. So, or whatever we need to do, we will.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, guys. So we have the North Carver Water District. I'm not sure if anyone's here tonight. So Mike, we have EMS next. Yeah, come on up. Thank you.
Good, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. So you see on the EMS line, I'm actually on the master plan for this year. The replacement of our ambulance 1 has come up for this fiscal year. It is listed on the town-wide plan. It was originally for $285 because the original plan was to replace the ambulance and also add a power load stretcher loading system into it. We were able to get both ambulances outfitted with the power load systems through CARES Act funding, so we didn't need to, we were able to cut back the cost of the ambulance for that reason. So like, for those who don't know how the EMS department operates, I would just like to start off with the fact that the EMS department is 100% self-funded. We do not take any money from the general treasury or taxes to provide the service for EMS. We do that all through revenues received from billing, private insurance, motor vehicle accident insurance, and billing patients for the care that they received for transports. That we've been able to do that successfully for years. And at the end of the year, once we take out the money for the operating costs, for operating and for salary, it leaves money left behind in the ambulance fund that we can use for such capital expenses. So we've been able to, since the beginning of the department, we've been able to purchase all of our cardiac monitors, ambulances, stretchers, big purchase equipment items through our fund. So the plan, that is kind of the same plan for this. We will be looking to purchase the ambulance using the money left in the fund. The money left over in the fund is estimated to be a little bit over $300,000 probably next year, depending on receipts. Receipts right now are coming in very good. We're collecting very well. We increased our billing rates to help with that as well, but we're also very busy. We're the busiest we've been in the last 3 years. Right now, we're on pace to match our call volume from 2018 of over 1,600 calls for service and roughly over 1,250 transports, which would be a lot for us. So with that, it does look like that the fund will be in good health. So that's how we look to work through this. We're able to do, and the other reason why we're able to provide this service for self-sufficiently is through our staffing model. Our staffing model, we are a part-time per diem staffing model that provides full-time coverage 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year and holidays. We run 2 ambulances. The first truck is always scheduled with at least a paramedic and an EMT. The second truck during the day normally has an EMT assigned to it, and if I'm available and not tied up on meetings, then I go out on the call. If not, we do call back, and we hopefully get people to come back and do those second calls. Lately, both trucks have been running very, very busy, so they're definitely getting the work out on both the ambulances. They get a lot of work, especially this year. So, and with that staffing model, we are able to provide that service using those staffings. We don't have to pay for fringe benefits, and we don't have to pay for sick time. We don't have to pay for overtime. We don't have to pay for leave. everything else, for everybody, we're no one's sole employer. We're always someone's second or third job, and they know that when they get hired. We make it clear that, you know, this is the second or third job, it's not a primary job. Everyone here is a part-time per diem staff member, and, you know, they understand that when they come in the door and understand what role they are. And, you know, we couldn't do it without the amazing staff that we have, and the dedicated, especially the dedicated in-town staff that we have. So, as I said, we currently are running, we have 4 units that we run. We have both ambulances, and then we have 2 response vehicles, one of which has been designated to myself as a command vehicle that we got through CARES Act funding that we bought used from a fire department on Long Island that's working very well. We got a Tahoe a couple years ago from surplus from the DPW that we use as kind of our second vehicle during the day. So if staff members need to go run errands, they can do it, be in service. If they have to even run errands for the department, to go to a hardware store for something. But also during the day when we have that extra staff member, we can send the ambulance out with that extra staff member. If they have to break off and go to another call, they can do so. So it helps with our response services during the day to make sure we're better covered. A1, the ambulance that we're looking to replace, is a 2011 Ford E450. It's got over 150,000 miles on it. It's been in service since 2011. We normally look to get about 10 years out of each ambulance. We think that's a good run. Most municipal departments, and depending on their call volume, replace them a little bit sooner, maybe 7 years or 8 years. Some even do 5. We try to get as many years out of these trucks as we can. The current A1 is definitely almost at its life end, and I say that because of the technology. The technology in the vehicle, the touchscreen system that is used to control the lights, the different mechanical equipment in the back, it got coming to the point where they're hard to find parts for. So there's definitely an issue there. So it's definitely served the town very well for a long period of time. It's still running today. It's been out a couple times today. It's doing a good job. So that's kind of where we're at with the ambulance. Again, the proposal is to, replacement is we formed a specification committee that's still working. We're looking to deal with one vendor who is available through the Houston, Galveston Area Council bidding process out of federal. We bought our last ambulance through that same HGAC program. It's through a Lifeline emergency vehicles, and we do that because we want the trucks to kind of match. If you buy an ambulance made by a different company, the front of the truck may look the same, but in the back, where all the equipment's stored, where everyone's sitting, whatever, the cabinetry could be a lot different, and the layout can be a lot different. And again, that goes more to our staffing model, because we have people that come from maybe 1 or 2 other departments. We may be their second or third job. You know, we want to make sure both trucks are similar, so that way, no matter what day they show up to work, both trucks are the same. So if they know both trucks are the same, they know where things are, and people can find, no matter which truck's on scene. They don't have to look to see it's A1 or A2. They know it's an ambulance, they know where to get the stuff from, they know what cabinet it's in, what bin it's in, and it works out. It makes it a little bit easier that way, especially in stressful situations. We don't want to be looking for something we can't find. And only that, the vehicles we've gotten from Lifeline, we have 2 Lifeline right now, and this will be the 3rd one, Lifeline ambulance we bought, and we've had nothing but great things with their cabinetry design, with how their doors have kept up, how the interior of the vehicle is kept up in the back especially. Most of the time the problems we have these vehicles comes from the chassis, so like the Ford E450. That is one of the restrictions that as a committee we came up with, is due to the size of the station. We only have 23 feet in length to play with. We can't look at a pickup truck chassis. So you may see out ambulances that are longer. They got maybe a Ford F-150 or F-550 front, or a Ram 5500 front, which our dealer was nice enough to bring to show the guys as a demo, and everyone fell in love with it until we pulled in the station and couldn't shut the door. So that's the issue we run into, it's length. So we are unfortunately stuck with going with a van chassis. So we have that distance, we have that room behind the truck and in front of the truck when we park it in the station. And it will match, and that way it also matches the other vehicle too, so it works that way. So we have a good relationship with this vendor. They know what we like. They already have the last build we did. We are of course looking to make some changes, because over the last 5 years since we bought Ambulance 2 back in 2017, there's been some regulation changes, some what we call standard of care changes that it's more common to have an ambulance set up in different ways. So we're looking to accommodate that. And it's easy to, work with them on that style. As far as the budget goes, the hope is that we'll be able to use pay for most of this using the ambulance fund, and then borrow about $100,000 from an account in town and pay that back over the course of the next 5 years. If that's not available, then we'll of course look to bond.
What account is that?
That's, I was gonna, so is, either the capital stabilization fund, or
Okay.
where there is funds available. If we could borrow up to $100,000, we would be able to, pay that, we can make a plan to pay that back every year from the EMS, ambulance reserve fund back into that account over the next 5 years, and pay it back that way. And if there's, if for some reason there's not funding available in that source, we can work to get a bond for the $100,000. And the reason why we're looking to do that is the current cost is estimated to be around $260,000 for the purchase of the ambulance.
It is, okay.
And we don't want to deplete almost the whole majority of the reserve in the ambulance fund to buy the ambulance if we can avoid that.
Okay, so you're asking for 190, but it really costs
It's $260
Okay,
is what we're looking for, and then we're hoping that we can, $160 can be taken from the ambulance fund,
sorry, I was looking at the wrong line, okay.
and then $100,000 will be taken out of another account that we can pay back into over the course of the next 5 years.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions on it?
I do.
Okay.
Mike, how much is in the, you might have said this and I might have missed it. How much is in the ambulance reserve fund now?
So right now, mid-season, we're at, I'm gonna estimate it, because we're still putting money in every week. It's right around it's $774,000.
770.
It might be off by $1,000 here or there, give or take.
And are you using anything, that money for anything else?
So as the money goes in, at the end of the year, once we have all the money in, all the receipts are received for this fiscal year, and we turn back whatever we don't spend in the salary and the operating account. Then in July 1, we pull out of that the salary and operating account for next year, which I'm estimating at about $900,000 to run the department next year.
Okay.
So it'll leave, so if they keep going in, it's looking like we'll probably, when we pull it out, we'll have around, this year we started with a balance of $329,000 left in the ambulance fund when we took out the salary and operating account. And I'm looking that we're gonna probably have more than that, not a grand ton more, but maybe another $30,000-$40,000 more than we did before.
So you guys are using that account as a regular deposit account?
Yep.
To run basically the department?
Yep, we do is all the revenue goes into that throughout the course of the fiscal year. And then at the end of the fiscal year, beginning of next fiscal year, we take everything we need to operate the department for the next fiscal year out, and then we have a remaining balance in there. That is normally what we try to use to pay for capital budget.
So what do you think, when you can't tell right now, I'm sure, but it's only January, but by July 1, what are you looking at projection-wise to have in that account after you minus out your operating costs? Maybe, what do you think?
At the rate we're going, it looks like we're probably gonna bring in close to, we brought last year $800,000. We're looking at this year, we'll probably bring over 900. Just over 900.
Mm-hmm.
And then with turnbacks, because of course we'll turn back money from the salary account, turn back money from the operating account. Those turnbacks could equal anywhere $65,000 to $75,000. So if you look at that ballpark, $965,000 back into the actual fund, and then you take out the $900,000, you're looking at a plus 65 for the year. Add that on to the 330 we started at, you're looking at 395, and that's being generous. So I would say I'm
Like
more
around 350, between 350,
yeah, that's it. I'd say
380?
350 would be a number I'd be comfortable saying is probably where we'll be sitting at after we take out everything next year.
Okay, and you're only, other than using it as a regular depository account, you're not using it for any other purchases except for the ambulance?
Correct. That's it.
So why wouldn't you use the money that's in there if you're projecting the 350 to pay for the ambulance, if that's the only thing you're using it for?
So the concern we have is if we take out 260 and it leaves us with $90,000, and next year we have a shortfall, it may be hard for us to make
okay, you're being proactive on that.
Yeah, and it's trying to preserve the health of the fund. So for us, look at it as, it's a lot easier if we take 160 out, and that leaves us, say, 190 within this scenario. If for some reason next fiscal year we saw in the beginning of COVID where we were down 25% of our calls, and that's why we went from projecting in FY 2020, we were projecting that we were gonna bring in over $900,000 and brought in 810.
Because collection is always an issue too.
And that's it, and that's the
Yeah.
other thing too. And our biggest concern always is, and I say, is how many patients we have there on social health care. So your Medicare, Medicaid, United Health, all those, they have set rates. So no matter how much we increase our billing,
Yeah.
they're set rates that we can't
And you can't
change.
Right, exactly.
So no matter what, we can transport you for chest pain, we get $500. We transport you for a broken toe, we get $500. It doesn't matter what we do, it's a set rate.
Right.
And the more patients we have that, which we saw with COVID, a lot of people lost their jobs,
Yeah.
weren't working, so they went on mass health, they went on social health care. So we're up around the 84% of our transporting patients, which is up about 5% over the last 5 years.
Right.
It definitely reduces the amount of money. You know, when we look at the total amount we build out and what we're allowed to build, it's a pretty significant difference.
Yeah, I've had conversations with your predecessor about that before.
Yeah, that's, honestly, that's that I see this model that we're doing to be able to remain self-sufficient for years, you know, with working give and take and everything, without having to impact the taxpayers, unless we unfortunately go to
Well, you guys do a
something.
great job with it, you know, for sure. And I also like that the, not having to go out on bond, we wouldn't have to pay the interest.
And that's this discussion came up last year, when I was first put in position. It was one discussion I had with the previous interim town administrator and finance director, was if there was an area within the town that we could take that money from and then pay it back into it, it saves us the fees associated with bonds and everything else. So it just makes it
Okay.
easier and easier on the service, easier on the budget for us,
Right.
if it's possible.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thanks.
The only thing Chief Weston's gonna speak about it, I know it falls underneath his, is the public safety communication upgrade. It affects all the public safety departments, so I just wanna make sure that, you know, him and his department have done a ton of work on this. I came into it, of course, late. They had already been worked on by my predecessor and everything, but it definitely is a key. This next step in the capital budget request to do the next phase is necessary. Radio communication, I think it explains, just as necessary as having the ability to call 911 from your phone. That's our emergency lifeline, and upgrading the system is working great. We've done a lot of work to upgrade the actual infrastructure in town, and now the next step is updating the portable radios, the mobile radios. I mean, we have a mismatch right now of different radios throughout the years, and they don't really work too well together sometimes, which makes communication a little hard. But it's definitely something that program definitely is something that needs a lot of support. We definitely would factor in very well in our future work to have the most up-to-date radio equipment. It definitely would make our staff safer, and it may be safer for the residents, because we won't have any chance of missing calls or having any issue communicating needs or getting communication out to the first responders in the field. So.
Thank you.
2 quick questions?
Yeah.
Quick questions.
Go ahead.
So this $260,000, does that include a trade-in value?
That not at this time. Sorry.
Okay,
They
what's
won't
the-
give us. They
what's
won't
the
give us a
average?
trade-in value until we sign a contract.
All right, what's been the average when you traded them?
Between $5,000 to $10,000. It's not really a lot of
Oh, it's
money to
not
give you.
that, okay.
It's almost like scrap value for it.
Yeah.
Just because the technology and it's outdated, so they can't. I kind of wish someone would trade in one of these trucks so I could steal some of the technology out of it.
Second
fix-
question, what's the timeline when you,
So the
Get
timeline right
approval.
now is, we have a good working relationship with the company, the vendor. They're actually going to purchase a couple of 2023 van E450 chassis to have, and they're gonna earmark one for us.
okay,
So that way, if we go forward with it, we could have, from when they get the chassis on site, it's 7 months to build. And that's it. It's a little bit longer than normal because of poor supply demands. But the last discussion I had with the vendor 2 weeks ago was they're saying 7 months from when the chassis is delivered to the manufacturer. And right now, all the 2023s, if you went straight through Ford, are gone. But there's a large Ford vendor that has specific for municipal sales rights that they can look to buy. He's going to look to buy a couple from them to make sure he has one in stock. And then he doesn't believe it's gonna be a problem, said if there's a problem, he'll let me know. But worst case scenario is if we don't get a 2023 chassis, we have to wait till the summer to order a 2024. It probably wouldn't be in until the fall, which means that it'll be done within next fiscal year, just Right now, we're looking at probably January 1, right around January for delivery.
All right, thank you.
If there's any delays, it's probably more closer to spring.
Okay,
All right.
Mike, do you have to trade them into the dealer, or can you sell them? Can we put it up for sale through the town? I don't know if there's any legalities with that, but.
you can do an auction
Yeah.
through the auction companies,
Yeah.
and that's probably a lot more than $10,000.
Well, it's, I mean, it's like, with the way vehicles are
We'll look
running
at
now.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless the chief wants to make it an ice cream truck for the fire department.
I didn't think I should truck, but that's not a bad idea. Maybe we'll keep it.
There you go. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Fire's up next.
He says right here, ice cream truck, fire. Thank you, my friend. How you doing? Good, too, thank you. Oh, two? Okay, yep. Right.
Thank you. How you doing?
Good, how are you? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You guys always have such nice presentations.
All these color presentations, it must have a big budget.
Maybe they print it.
Cut that budget.
There you go.
So, first of all, I want to just introduce myself. I haven't seen you for a long time. Remind Craig Weston, the fire department's fire chief. So, I know you guys are pressed with time, so I'm going to be very brief and to the point. I think the police chief wanted to buy food tonight for everybody, so. So I want to give you a little time to get there. You said you have candy though, right? So you have two handouts in front of you, and I will explain them, but they are for you to take home and to try to give you as much information to be as transparent as I always try to be. For the new members on the committee, we have a 10-year capital outlay fire department plan, and we have for many years. This plan is fluid, but it does stay obviously rigid too. It's outlined in the 10-year plan that you have. We try to do this to limit surprises, and we also try to do this to allow the town, specifically the finance committee and the finance department, to plan for this in advance. So your fire department fully understands, and we've been made aware that the town has a capital outlay financial issue going on, okay? And this year, we want to be part of the solution and not be the burden. So the presentation I'm going to make tonight obviously has some changes, concessions, and to try to hopefully get us in the right direction. With that said, I obviously come here with needed public safety requests, but I am offering, again, some concessions and solutions. This will hopefully allow other projects from the town to get priority funding that they need. You are being presented tonight with one town-wide public safety request and 4 Carver Fire Department capital requests. I'd like to speak with you about the fire department request first, and then with your permission, I'd like to talk about the public safety as a whole request. So,
Yeah, that would be great.
so as the fire department capital request, there's a brush breaker rehab for $175,000. There is new hiring for new call firefighters, equipping them with PPE and so forth for $15,000. There's a Jaws of Life upgrade and airbag upgrade for $127,000, and there's a replacement for a command car for $85,000. In an effort to ease some of the capital funding issues, we are willing to move 2 requests: the rehab of the brush breaker for $175,000 and funds for new call firefighters for $15,000 out 1 year. The request of funds for new call firefighters is a capital request each year and has been funded each year, probably for the last 10 years. However, after relooking at this budget line in detail, obviously through the efforts of Sue and her predecessor, we have a line item for this that we keep track of. And with deposits made every year for about $15,000 that we spend for our new firefighters, specifically for our new firefighters, I've looked at it and I feel there's enough money in this fund to get us through this year, okay? I want to emphasize we're hiring 5 new call firefighters this year, and we use this fund to help with it. And we also use our fire department account to do some of that too. No question, after this year, that fund would have to be replenished, okay?
Up to this date, it had been a standard line item, didn't even spend much time talking about it, and we just kept it going so we could make that happen. Again, when I look at it, I really feel strongly, I think we can get by with 1 year of missing that.
Okay.
Our aging brush fire apparatus fleet is certainly not getting any younger. 3 years ago, we completed the rehab of one of our oldest brush breakers, but rehab still needs to be completed on the 2 remaining brush breakers that are almost 25 years old. Due to the fiscal constraints, waiting 1 additional year for this rehab to start, I think would be certainly be acceptable. So I think, again, we're willing to push that out. With that said, this leaves 2 requests for the fire department that I consider absolute priorities and ask the committee to fund this year. The first is Jaws of Life and airbag upgrades that were supposed to be funded at last year's town meeting. And we were asked to hold off for funding until the fall town meeting, and that obviously didn't happen. That request is for $127,000. A little bit on our Jaws of Life. Our hydraulic Jaws of Life tools are carried on our Rescue 1, which is considered a heavy rescue, and are over 20 years old. The tools were scheduled to be replaced again at last town meeting. However, we were asked by the finance departments to hold off until the fall town meeting, as there was a cash flow issue at that time, and it was all anticipated that we would have a fall town meeting and that would be straightened out. As you know, there was no fall town meeting, and here we are back again. Again, we're asking that these tools are critical and they be replaced at the FY 23 annual town meeting. These tools operate at a pressure we call 5,000 PSI and are used to trap occupants that are trapped in a motor vehicle accident and so forth. Modern cars today are being built with a product we call boron steel. And that steel can only be cut with equipment that operates at about 10,000 PSI, which is a lot higher pressure. Currently, we have 1 hydraulic spreader, 2 hydraulic cutters, combination tool, and so forth, that are part of the Jaws of Life rescue system on our Rescue 1. We would replace these with a combination of battery-operated and hydraulic-operated tools that operate at 10,000 PSI, which are capable of cutting these steels. The other item in there is a 4-bag air system that we use to lift objects up to 50 tons, no matter what incident we go to. That is also well over 20 years old. We have applied for a fire assistance grant in 2020 and in 2021. However, both were unsuccessful in those applications, but we did try. The second request, which I consider a priority, as I've said, is a command car driven by Deputy Germain. Our command cars and 1 reserve command car are set up as incident command vehicles. They carry special computers, life safety and rescue equipment, stored in custom-made cabinetry and consoles in the rear. These operate multiple public safety radios, multiple computer programs, and provide essential command and control functions while at the actual incident that we're on. They're mobile command posts that we use all the time. Although we try to keep these cars in very good shape, we strive to make a 10-year lifespan. Car 2, again driven by Deputy Germain, is 10 years old. It's approaching 100,000 miles, and it's reaching an age where it just won't be it'll be unreliable for frontline public safety use. It is critical to have this request funded now, as we have been told if this is even funded at an April town meeting, we would not see replacement for this vehicle until the spring of 2023. If it was ordered in April, no 2022 public safety vehicles are being taken. This vehicle will almost be a year and a half older at that time, and it's been our policy. I do, however, feel that this vehicle could go into our reserve fleet, actually replacing our reserve car, which is a 2002 with 108,000 miles on it, which we use for various things, towing our rescue boat, firefighters to use for details, academy courses, and so forth. So I feel that we're accomplishing 2 goals with this purchase. We're replacing a frontline emergency response vehicle, and we're replacing a reserve emergency vehicle. And again, the concern is, even if we order now, we're almost a year and a half out before seeing it. So the longer we wait, we're even further, and the more miles go on. With that said, I would like to transition and speak on the townwide public safety system, and then I'll certainly take any questions about that. So you have another packet, that's the townwide communication upgrade packet. So in that packet, it explains in detail, and again, I know some of you are new, and again, we tried to give you some information, of a multi-stage townwide public safety communication upgrade project. It's been broken down by phases and priorities. The request for the capital funding is from all public safety departments. Obviously, I have the privilege of speaking on it. This is for phase 3 of a 4-phase project that was broken up over 6 years, okay? It takes us about 2 years to complete each part of the process, and that's why we're back now. The town funded the first 2 communication phases in 2020 town meeting. Those phases of the project are nearly complete, and outlining the packet, I've tried to highlight where they are and which ones have been completed and which one might be still pending. To date, the project, those phases of the project are nearly complete in the packet. It is outlined very early to the Select Board, Finance Committee, and Capital Outlay back in 2020 that this was a multi-phase project, and these were estimates provided each phase, okay? Once the project was accepted, as it was by the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee at that time, we have to see it through to completion. So that's kind of where we are. This request to fund phase 3 will upgrade every mobile and portable public safety radio used by Carver police officers, Carver firefighters, and Carver EMS personnel. This is a very expensive project phase, but is considered the most critical as our public safety workers are going to be the end users of this. And obviously, you know, we consider their safety paramount. The townwide communication upgrade project to date has gone very smoothly. It's been led by Deputy Eric Germain with the assistance from Public Safety and townwide team. We have a committee formed, a communications project upgrade committee formed. And again, they've been very supportive through this whole part of this process. So with that said, a lot of hard work has been done to be very frugal with the existing budget for our communications upgrades. I feel that we can reduce this request for phase 3 of the public safety communication upgrade by $55,000. That request to capital outlay would change from $653,000 to $98,000. This reduction has been achieved through projects done in-house, working with vendors for bottom line pricing, and just a lot of hard work. With projected price increases combined with lowering this request, I want to be clear that there still is a possibility, although I feel it's at a low risk, that we could be back for a transfer if pricing did not come in as expected. We feel as chiefs, and I speak for all the chiefs, that we would not be doing our job in working in the town's best interest if we do not try to lower this request as we have. Finally, in conclusion, I hope the 2 fire department priority capital requests and the 1 public safety request, combined with the reductions and the solutions I have tried to propose, help the capital outlay committee fund appropriate requests for the Carver Fire Department, but also other departments in town. So, thank you. I certainly will obviously take any questions you have and try to explain in more detail.
I just had one.
Sure.
So we still have, I don't know if this is
one?
just a rollover from last year.
Yeah.
The fire station 2 and 3 interior improvements for $25,000.
So those have already been funded.
They have, that's
and
what I
those
thought.
are in progress, so that would come on.
Okay, great, that's still on here, so we'll have to take that off too, soon.
So I just found EMS a little bit of money back.
Exactly. Yeah, that one sounded familiar when I read it.
So yes, that has been taken care of.
Great. And thank you very much for moving the brush breaker and the equipment for the new hires. That was very generous of you guys to do that.
It's the right thing to do, so.
Do you guys have questions about anything?
I don't, but thank you very much for your presentation and your hard work. You're diligent as always, and you always find a good place for all of your secondary use for all the vehicles in town. That's a good thing. Like I said, it's something we really have to think about, because the price of vehicles these days, A, they're hard to find, and B, they're exorbitant. You know, so.
Very, very much. And it's not getting easier.
No,
I don't
exactly.
see light at the end of the tunnel for that, so. Again, I would ask If you do decide to make further changes than what was proposed, if you would just give us the opportunity just to reach out through the town administrator, just so we could have a discussion and obviously have a chance to explain further if you got any questions, but, did I miss anything?
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you, guys.
Thank you.
We appreciate it, guys. Thank you. So we have police next.
Yeah.
They only have like 4 line items at the top.
All right, at the very
Yeah.
top. Beth, why does the third one have a green line going all the way through? Is it just a printing
Oh, because
error
it's,
or-
no, because I think it's pending legislation. So I think that's why you have.
Oh, I got you. Hey, Chief.
Good evening, thank you for some time to chat tonight.
Yeah.
Before I start, I have to thank my colleagues, Chief Weston and Chief Ryan. We work very well together, and we, as public safety chiefs, as a police chief, I understand that we are able to do what we do because of what they do, and how they save the town money, and how they perform their duties. So I'm very grateful to that, and we work very well together, and we've always worked together, whether it's making concessions at this table or not, to make it all work, and we will continue to do that. So I won't bore you with details about where we're at, but this was a good year for the police department. We moved into our new facility. We promoted our first deputy chief, and we added 2 new sergeants. We're also beginning the process to accreditation, which is will be a huge move forward for our police department once that's completed. And we have negotiated with the police union on those body cameras that you mentioned.
Yeah.
They're on there. So we're moving forward on that. We can remove this line from capital because in moving forward, the way body cameras are purchased, they're purchased in a 5-year plan now. We have split it up an even payment over 5 years, and that gives you the body cameras, the cloud storage, the redaction software, and a replacement at 2.5 years of those body cameras. Also a warranty for the body cameras, so if they're damaged, they get replaced. It would make no sense at all for us to buy them outright as a capital expense, because if they get broken, and I can tell you they'll get broken, on the front of a police officer, then we have to pay to replace them. So the plan, the way they sell body cameras now from when we first put this on, has changed, and we're moving that forward as an operational expense rather than a capital expense. It'll be about $12,000 a year over the next 5 years, but that will give a body camera for each police officer in town, and the 2 spares to have for anybody that's working in detail. So that line can come off. And this year we had us down for 1 police cruiser, but we're put in for 2 because we need to replace 2. As always, we'll work with the committee and the town to reduce that if need be, but I do have to ask what we need, and what we need to do is replace 2 cruisers. Our cruiser program started back in 2005. Some of you are familiar with it. I don't know if everybody is, but we have a cruiser assigned, 1 cruiser to each police officer, very similar to what the state police does. And that program, when it initially got off the road, took a little while to get it all up to speed. But now we've been able to, with that 1 cruiser per officer program, get a lot more life out of police cruisers than you normally would. A pool cruiser that's shared by numerous officers lasts maybe 2-3 years, especially in a big town. We have 40 square miles with it, putting a lot of mileage on it. But by having a cruiser assigned to each person, we're extending the life. The plan was designed to extend the life to 7 years or 155,000 miles. And over the years, since 2005 to 9, we've gone several years where we've been able to push off buying a new cruiser because of that, because we were able to maintain them better. And by having a cruiser assigned to a person, they take a lot more personal pride in it. They take care of it better, and it doesn't get the wear and tear that it would if it's in a pool cruiser. So because it's only with that officer. We found over the years, in the past with pool cruisers, you're replacing engines and transmissions because they run so much, and we've not had to replace an engine or transmission since I've taken it. So the plan does work. It saved us a lot of money in the long run as far as maintenance, because we're maintaining the cars, just doing the oil changes and brakes and stuff like that, not changing engines or transmissions. And it's provided several years over the past 15 years that we've been able to forego buying cars. That leaves us where we are today, and sometimes we have to play catch up, and sometimes we're doing that. So we do, instead of one, we had to ask for 2 this year, but again, as the other chief said, if we have to cut something back, we certainly can.
Okay.
The other part of our cruiser plan is that we purchase brand-new cruisers for the frontline officers. That's a given. We never falter on that. But over my 8 years, we've found several times where we could buy used cruisers from other departments for myself, our deputy chief, our detectives, school resource officer, the officers that are out on the road responding to emergencies on a regular basis. We all go. The other day, something happened, we all go. But we don't all go on a regular basis. So we make sure that the patrol officers and the sergeants that are out there every day responding to emergencies, be it a car accident or breaking and entering or helping out with the ambulance or assisting the fire department, those officers have the best cruisers, the newest cruisers. And our admin staff usually ends up with used cruisers. I think we've saved the town, I know we've saved the town quite a bit of money over the past few years, because we've bought, we've got a couple of 2014 cruisers that we bought for $2,500 a piece that are still online for our detectives. My cruiser we bought used from Marshfield for $18,000, and that's still online, and hopefully stay online for a little bit. But we started with 64,000 miles on there. We're at 152,000 miles on it, but we get every dollar we can out of those cars. So when we ask to replace them, it's because we need to replace them. What we'd be replacing now would be one of our 2014 Explorers and one 2011 Crown Victoria, which has seen better days. So again, we can make it work. If we have to, we can keep pushing that out. But as Chief Weston mentioned, and he's correct, there is a shortage in buying cruisers and buying vehicles, so we don't know what that delay will be. I listened to him talk about it could be 18 months, and I believe him. I'm not, I don't know. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I certainly know it takes a while to get a cruiser in. So better to start that process now than wait until we have to replace something. So that's the cruisers, and the other thing we're asking for this year is to replace our 4 automatic external defibrillators. We have 3 for the patrol cars that ride around in the cars that are out on duty, and we have 1 that's at the station in dispatch. Those are over 10 years old and no longer supported as far as for maintenance purposes, and they're a key life-saving device that we need to have in these cruisers. Our cruisers are on the road at all times, so they can potentially be to a situation first and start using the AED before the ambulance gets there. So it's a very important device for us to have in there, and obviously I think that's kind of a priority to replace. I did, with the help of the EMS chief and with the approval of the fire chief, apply for a grant to pay for one of those. The state's offering that this year, which if they do, that'll be great. We can cut back about $2,500, but we haven't been awarded the grant as of yet. So we did try on that. And as mentioned by both the chiefs, the radio upgrade that they mentioned, I think, has to be a priority. Myself, Chief Walsh before, Chief Ryan, we've all tried to help out, but realistically it's the deputy chief and the chief that have done this program, and they've done a great job, and we need to bring it into fruition now. It's been a couple of years working on it, and I think that that has to be a priority. The radios, this radio is obsolete. You can't replace this anymore. Technology changes quite quickly, and I think, again, we need to make sure that our police officers, our firefighters, our EMS personnel have the best equipment out there to do that job. So I completely support that, and I hope that you will consider that as well when you make your decisions. Any questions?
I don't have any questions on it. Do you guys?
The only question I have is, and it's something you've taken off of here, but on the, did you mention the body cams? Is there an avenue for grants on that? You said there was one?
Oh yeah, there's a.
Or you just,
I'll talk to you about the grant program that EOPS asked me not to talk about, but.
oh, you don't have to.
No.
It's all right.
I do want to,
okay.
because I think you'll find it interesting. We all listened to police reform legislation that passed last year, and all the legislators that voted for it and jumped up and got their press release and happy about it, and we're going to make this go. And part of that is body cameras, and there's still a committee ongoing to make some recommendations about body cameras. But one of the things they said is that they're gonna put money out there and fund body cameras for towns. And they did, they put a bunch of money in an account, and we filled out the grant application. The program I just mentioned to you, the 5-year program, we're gonna pay $12,000. We only asked for our $12,000 for this year, because it's a yearly grant program, and we got a call back from them, said we did a great job in filling out that application, but it looks like it's a lease program. It is, it's the way they're selling them. Motorola, which we're gonna go with, Axon, and Body One, all make a similar program. And they say, yeah, we can't fund that. So I said, well, what do you mean you can't fund that? Well, we're just gonna fund it if you buy it outright. I said, well, it makes no sense for us to buy it outright for the reasons that I just described to you. And they told me, well, sorry, try again next year, maybe we'll change it. I was able to meet with Secretary Reedy, the new head of EOPS, who pointed me to somebody else as far as what we're gonna do with that. And they all understand, well, it's tough, but we're not gonna be able to change it this year. So I don't know who's getting funded. I know Middleborough was in the same boat. They asked for funding and didn't get funding.
So when you buy them outright, if something happens to them, you have to replace
you own
them.
them, yes.
When they're released, if they're leased, obviously, the leasing company there might be a coverage plan on them.
Right.
Right.
So it's, you're kind of getting yourself into a long-term commitment with these companies, but the technology changes very quickly. And they're, anything that you wear on this belt or on your front of you, and it says police on it, doesn't have a long life. They fall off. You get into a foot chase, they fall off. People hit them, they break, or they just fail. They're an electronic device. So this program that we're talking about is over the 5-year years. It's $52,000. To buy them outright, it would have been $44,000. We would own them, but then we would own them. If they break, we fix them. The batteries die, we buy new batteries. The current program that we're bought into, they fix them. The battery dies, they give us new batteries. They replace them at 2.5 years in. They give us new ones anyway, so that they'll be upgraded. Or if they break along the way, they'll replace them. So I can't see, for the small difference in money over a 5-year period, how we're going to end up losing, or how the town's going to end up losing. So I don't see why and I haven't heard of any chiefs that are just buying them outright. At the beginning of this, people were thinking they wanted to. But if you buy them outright, you've also got to upgrade your server, so you're going to store the data here instead of store it in the cloud.
Right.
So it doesn't financially make a lot of sense.
Right.
And we're going to need to upgrade these pieces of equipment as we go anyway. And I think we're going to see the same. Taser has started the same program with their cameras and with their tasers. So at some point in the near future, we're going to have to talk about, do we take replacing our tasers off as a capital and put into an operational expense in a similar way? Because they break as well, and when they break, we buy new ones. But a program like that replaces them and keeps them going. It keeps you're always giving them money, but you're always giving them money anyway, because there's a large expense to buy them outright. So.
Right. Thank you for the explanation, Chief.
Sure, thank you.
One quick question, just for my clarification, for external defibrillators, and you mentioned you got one grant,
We've applied for the grant. We haven't granted it as of
Okay.
yet, but I believe we'll know this later this month if we
Okay.
got it or not.
All right, so just let me know.
Yes,
and
and we can
adjust
cut
that.
Yes,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Sorry that I don't have any color brochures either.
Oh, no.
But I did learn from the fire chief how to make them on our copier, so maybe next year. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot the food too. I should have ordered that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And your continued
Thank
support.
Thank you. Okay, so, we have townwide next. Is,
Is that for me?
it might be. Thank you.
I was looking for COA on there, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's not on there, Beth.
It's not?
No, it was omitted.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, you can still
Yeah,
discuss it,
come on
though.
up.
We'll add it to it.
Yeah. So there's no COA. Is it in townwide at all?
No.
Okay.
I only have one request.
That's okay.
And it addresses two issues that are occurring.
Do you want to introduce yourself
Oh, I'm
to
sorry,
everyone
yes, I'm
first?
Connie Kelly, the Director of the Council on Aging.
And nice
Yeah,
to meet
nice
you.
to
Thanks
meet
for
you.
coming today.
And so this is clearly the first time I'm presenting anything for the capital outlay. And I'm wondering actually if it might even fall under another category of ARPA funding or something along that idea, where it's an infrastructure issue that we're addressing. Proposing for a Wi-Fi upgrade along with a phone service upgrade, both of which are issues currently at the COA. Our Wi-Fi system is not working throughout the building. We have instituted some additional technology for the instruction for the seniors. And I'm having to borrow hotspots from the library to function.
Yeah.
What was brought to my attention through our current phone service, which is Adams Communication, that's based here in Carver, is that Verizon is no longer going to service our wired lines as of July 1st of this year. So our whole phone system would need replacing, and utilizing the Wi-Fi system upgrade would be part of that upgrade, is a recommendation from the phone service company. So the IT director, along with the Adams Communication, I had them speak to each other for the recommendation, because from a technology standpoint, I'm not sure what I should suggest for recommendation. And they came forward with a quote, which I included with my request. I'm not sure if you have a copy of what that is.
I don't think we got your request.
Yeah, so I know it went through Rick, because
That's
I was requesting, or asking, is it qualifying as an outlay request, which he said it would. So it came, the Wi-Fi upgrade was about $15,000 in the quote, with another $5,000 for the phone system upgrade. So for basically a $20,000 request. And again, I was wondering if the ARPA funding would be appropriate for this, and that was the consideration, to just at least get it in for a request, to see, at least have it be covered.
Do you guys think that ARPA would
I
cover
don't
that?
know, we're still waiting for clarification on that.
Okay,
So, but we'll look at that, too.
yeah. So we can definitely get it added to this spreadsheet.
Okay,
and
that
put
would
on
be,
there.
great, because I said it's such a imperative need, and the idea if ARPA would be any sooner than waiting for it to be included in FY '23, I was wondering if it'd be something that we could institute as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And you said you're gonna lose phone lines or phone service as of July 1?
Yes, our wired lines. I think there was a recent notice that went around too, the fax lines that are going to be stopping. It's all part of that lack or cutting back on service of the wired phone systems. So it's our internal phone system has already been giving us issues, and we've been expending a lot of money on the troubleshooting.
So would this even be part of 23's budget, or where it end? They're gonna have no phone lines on July 1st. Is this something that has to be executed before that?
Well, because they want to purchase it before that. Not wait till it,
Yeah.
there's no
So that's what I'm
lines.
saying, should it
So,
be part of the 23 budget?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
you mean
Well,
this year, that's right.
Yeah, 22.
That's right, because it's right on the cusp.
Well, they
It's
could
right
go
on
to
the
the-
cusp, yeah.
They could
Yeah.
go to the finance committee and ask for transfer.
Exactly.
So are they saying they're going to cut off all communication through
So
your
they
phone
will
system?
no longer be servicing the wired phone system,
Servicing, meaning repairing?
or just,
Yeah.
just that it won't be
I
functioning.
mean, servicing
told
to
that it
me means like repairing if something happens.
would,
But I
well,
think it's, I'll have
according
to
to
check
the-
into
yeah.
that, because it just seems odd that they would just shut off people's phones.
But
Yeah.
it
That
is
are
just
the
like with
wire
our
to
fax, our
public
fax lines, we were
safety
told
and-
that the fax lines will be cut
Yeah,
as well, so,
I'll check.
yeah, but
make some
the
calls.
Adams Communication was the one that was letting me know this, and I think the IT department, the director was aware of it as well, because some of the communication came from him with regard to the fax lines. There's
Mhm.
gonna be, those will be stopping as well, so.
Sounds like all just hardwired lines.
Hardwired lines is
and-
the issue.
Yeah, like I would think like you were thinking, the maintenance would be gone. Like they won't come out with the maintenance, but just to cut the lines off altogether.
Yeah,
so they don't
I can't
work
see
anymore.
that happening.
But
Because so many lines are tied into public safety issues, you know.
But we just got a notification,
I'll
that
check,
there is
you
a
know,
line
rather
that, as of December, that was getting cut as well. So
Yeah.
there's like outright phone lines for saying this will no longer be in service. So, I'm going off the recommendation of those
Mhm.
that, are the
Yeah.
professionals that are
Yeah.
telling me. But our current system is just not functioning properly.
No, I saw that when I visited, yeah.
On a rainy day, our phone system, it doesn't even work,
Mhm.
and that's internally. It's not even an external problem. There's some sort of internal problem as well. But, so that was basically my request for, getting that updated. Both quotes would address both problems.
Both issues.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
you.
Yeah, so if that's something that would need to be done earlier, but maybe they could go and present to the finance committee and ask for a reserve transfer.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's,
We'd have to see, maybe the 15,000 for the Wi-Fi goes on the 23 capital, maybe the 5 goes to the finance committee
just so
before
they,
22.
so they keep working.
So I think
Okay.
school, guys are up next. I'm sorry you're last tonight. So sorry about that.
Next year, reverse it, right?
Exactly. I just figured we'd keep with the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Save the best for last.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this color?
Look at
For
that,
saving
I
money.
like that.
Trying to save the money,
Thank you.
man.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, my friend.
And thanks for coming tonight, guys.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Scott Neef, Superintendent of the Carver Public Schools.
Nice to meet you, Scott.
Hi, I'm Ron Griffin, I'm the business manager.
And Ron's going to take the lead in taking us through our capital requests. And like all the other departments, I'll just start by saying, obviously, there's a lot here, but we're more than willing to work with everybody to meet the needs of the town.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for your time. I realize we're getting close to 8:30, so I'll try to move quickly, and certainly if you have any questions, so as we go. Your very first page just outlines the structure of our plan. You have 5 years out in front of you to drill down to FY23. It's broken into 3 buckets, if you will. Facilities, equipment, transportation, and then technology. And a note about technology, a few years back, the town consolidated its technology capital planning into 1 bucket, if you will. We take the lead on the procurement, we do the IFBs as needed, we put all the procurement out there. So what you see in technology is townwide, with the school department and all the other departments as well. Last year when I came in front of this committee, I was probably on the job for 3 or 4 weeks at the time. The committee asked for more detail on technology, so there is further detail on technology. And I took the step to also tease out anything that is specific to the school department. So anything that says technology, it's general, unless it says school.
Thank you.
The first component is facilities and equipment. That brings you to page 2. A little highlight there. The large majority of facilities and equipment focuses on the middle high school, built in 1988, obviously one of our older structures. And the theme that you see here is projects that are focused on extending the useful life of the building. The bones of that building are in good shape, but the interior and the equipment that our staff are using needs updating. So you'll see a lot of modernization plan projects here, as well as some like revitalization and renovation. Oh, I should mention, many of the projects also support our innovations pathways at the middle high school. It's a series of these really cool programs that help kids get involved in things like technology and health sciences, and engineering and manufacturing. It's a fledgling program intended to try to keep kiddos here in Carver versus going out to charter schools and other school choice classes. Page 3 is just your executive summary. You see FY23 as well as the out years. A note about reading the executive summary, anything that just has a K in front of it is a project that we continue to pursue, but that we're pursuing with outside funds. So the school department is really committed on trying to find ways to fund projects through grants and endowments and donations. It's important that part of our planning process to outline these projects, but anything that has a K in front of it isn't rolled up into your total, and will be funded offset with grants and so on. Page 4, your first proposal is the middle high school classroom modernization plan. This is a new plan for our capital plan in general. The intention is really simple here. We've got a number of departments at the middle and high school. The goal is that each year we identify 1 high priority department and start upgrading their FF&E, their furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Again, maintain the bones of the building, good building, but try to modernize the inside, bring it up to 2022, 2023 standards. Page 5 is our auditorium, our stage lighting. You may remember last year we completed a project to do the house lights. They look great, they're LED, they're really efficient. I think Mr. Steve talked a little bit about some of the projects they've done with the LEDs. This project is focused entirely on the stage, supports our performing arts and theater programs. It also carves out a portion of the auditorium to serve as a hub, as an audiovisual space. So all of the wiring for lighting, audiovisual, go to one space, can then be controlled by our students, by our staff, when we do performances, have town meeting, those sorts of things. Page 6 is our largest request. It's actually a continuation of requests over the past couple of years. I'll give you a little bit of context and turn it over to Mr. Mead if you want to add some more history than I can provide. So the middle high school has this incredible culinary arts program. It's a national award-winning program. The teacher's incredible. The kiddos make really great food. If you're ever in the mood for good home cooking, give them a call. They can help you out, I'm sure. But this facility that they're using just doesn't match the caliber of the work that's going on in there. It's all used equipment that's been begged, borrowed, and donated.
We won't
Don't
say
say
stolen. You won't say stolen. We won't say stolen.
That's not
Beg,
the
borrowed.
same, right. Beg, borrowed, and donated.
Yeah.
But if it's good stuff, but it's really old, I don't think there's a single new piece of equipment there, and there hasn't been for years. And despite that, they're still winning national awards. So there has been some funding that's been approved over the past couple of years for this project, but most of it was intended to try to upgrade the facility so that we can bring in brand new furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So this year we brought in an engineering firm, architectural firm, and said, look, time out. Tell us what this is going to cost, right? Do schematic design, just first layer design for us. And their initial plans came back at $1.4 million, which we realized was not a big mistake. Despite the fact that it would be incredible and give you a restaurant, like it would be amazing, it's just too much money. So we sent them back to the drawing board with a goal of trying to get to somewhere around $600,000, $460 you see here, plus the funds that have already been remaining. We just got the numbers in the other day, $19,000, which again, we recognize is very expensive for a single project, especially because we spent this evening hearing all these other very important projects as well. So we want to name that. We also want to say that part of our job is to share with you what our needs are, but we recognize this is very expensive, and when we think about our prioritization list, would probably be down the bottom of our prioritization list.
And I think the only thing we'd add to that is that maybe looking at other ways to fund this project in the future. Because the reality is, we didn't expect it was going to be at that level of really being a $900,000 project or $1 million project. But they're saying to us, if you're going to put in an industrial kitchen in your school as it currently exists, that's what it's going to cost. And so that, that's the direction we want to go in. That's the direction we need to go in to support the program. But we realize that maybe capital outlay may not be the way to do that this year. So we're willing to defer
My only
on this
thought with that
project.
is, at some point, I don't know if this is ever gonna really happen, but if we're gonna replace that middle high school, I don't know. Do we really wanna put $1 million into
Well,
it?
so I'll respond to that only from the
Yeah.
line of, I think, when we built the new elementary school, there was a general feeling that, I believe that's a 20-year bond,
Yeah.
and then at the same time, if people remember, we did the accelerated repair project at the middle high school. So we did the doors, the windows, the boilers, and the roof. And the concept of that was, we need to have this building last for 20 years.
Okay.
Because I think everybody was saying that there's a reality of, we're probably not gonna move to build a new middle high school until the debt is paid on the elementary school. Now, who knows, maybe the town, I don't wanna project for the town, I don't wanna lock us in and say we're not gonna look at building another school for 18 years. But I think or 17 years.
Mhm.
But I think we have to be realistic about that too. I don't think we're gonna be looking to build a new middle high school in the next 5 years.
No.
And I think, really, we're talking about, and this whole concept of this plan in terms of modernization is an acknowledgement to the town and saying to the town, there's gonna be another generation of students that go through that building.
Mhm.
First grade through 12th grade, it's 13 years. So our current kindergartners probably going to go to that school. Our current 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds are probably going to go to that school. So yes, we want to be thoughtful of, you don't want to put in $1 million here, $1 million there, $1 million there. But then on the other side, you have to also think this school is going to have to serve another generation of students. And that we need to be thinking about what can we do, realizing that the structure of the building is solid. What can we do to enhance the inside of the building and make it an appropriate educational space that matches the educational spaces that exist in this area, really. if you look at the public high schools in southeastern Massachusetts, they're pretty impressive. And love our school, love our students, love our kids, love our teachers. We just want to make sure we can have the spaces that are needed for them. So that's where we look at but I think that's going to be a constant discussion. So if you look out at our 5-year plan and what used to be our 10-year plan, like totally redoing the auditoriums in there, which would probably be a multi-million-dollar project. Totally redoing the locker rooms, probably be another multi-million-dollar project. And we realized that we might have to be selective, but I also think it might be a little short-sighted to say that, well, we can't do $1 million project in that building because we're going to look to replace it, unless there's going to be a real move to replace the building in the next 5 to 10 years, which, that's a big, long-term, big picture thought that the town has to look at. But we're approaching it from our request through this capital plan, we're approaching it from the concept of maybe there's not going to be a move to build a new middle high school in the next 10 years. And that we have to make sure that we have a building that can support and have appropriate educational programming for the next generation of kids.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry if that was an impassioned plea.
No. I'm just thinking, number-wise, if, say we really were thinking of building a new school.
If you guys want, if the town wants to come and say, let's go build a new school in the next 5 years, then we'd be willing to forego some of the larger requests.
No, I think that's like, if you're 4 or 5 years out from building
Yeah.
a new school, you might want to have those conversations, So what, sorry, Beth,
No, go
through
ahead.
you. Now, this was news to me about the reduction, about the 900,000. So what's your official request, Ron and Scott, for, because you have 460 here, but you're telling us it's coming in at 9.
Yeah, so we're saying we're pulling this request, really, is what we're saying.
You're going to pull
for
it
this
off.
year.
Put it all together?
Unless,
Otherwise, the request would be
the other request would be on 750.
We can just do the math here. I think it's going to be, it splashes the entire capital plan. And,
Right.
we heard from every other town leader,
True.
we're all here in this thing together, trying to work together to make this happen for everyone. And we don't want to see a single project, while it's fantastic for kids, be up against all these other very important projects for our community.
Going back to the townwide communication plan, obviously they didn't reference the school specifically, but the school has had benefits from that plan. So the communication system within the schools for the radios wasn't operational. They had to put like a 2-way radio operational system in there. So there's a whole new wiring system as part of that first phase of that plan that went into the middle high school. Clearly, as the school department's supportive of that plan as well. We're not going to get the radios, but when that plan was conceptually brought to the Board of Selectmen and to the Finance Committee at that time, I was part of the original planning on that, and we're supportive of that project. So that's also another big ticket item on here. So I think really we're saying we want to put it out there to the committee that this is an important project for us. And redoing the culinary classroom, and Andy knows, a member of the school committee, has been something we've been talking about for a couple of years. So it's been a constant discussion, and we don't want to diminish its value. But we also want to be respectful of that. A $900,000 project may not be a realistic ask of the capital outlay committee at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So we want to share some other smaller projects that I think are much more realistic, and again, in that theme of modernizing the interior of the building and keeping the bones, right? If you look at page 7, you see bullet 4, the middle high school lobby renovation. It's exactly that. The lobby is the face of your building. It's where your community connects with your middle high school. Predominantly hasn't had an upgrade in a long time, and this just gives an opportunity to upgrade the furniture, fixtures, and face of the middle high school as well. Page 8 is one of the first pathway projects that you see, and it supports our performing arts pathway. So middle high school is committed to building a TV studio program, again, to give kids opportunities to develop skills in AV, and television, and performing arts. Request there allows us to do the build, both furnitures, fixtures, but also technology and equipment that allows us to do that. The sixth proposal here is the only one focused on the elementary school. Obviously, the facilities in wonderful shape, and what you see here is funding for an upgrade in their curriculum. We have a literacy curriculum that's outdated. We're in the process of exploring curricula this year, and these funds would allow them to be able to get a curriculum that the team ultimately selects. Proposal 7, I will just say we've got an incredible culinary program for our kiddos, as well as an incredible food service program for each building that serves elementary, middle, high school, breakfast and lunch every day. A lot of their equipment in middle high school, just like a lot of the other equipment, is getting older. And so right now they're down 2 ovens. So we're in the process of writing grants to cover the cost of those ovens. We expect that this will run about $40,000. But the ask for this committee is $0.
Okay.
Fully grant funded. Administrating this last project, the 8th proposal is the walking track at the elementary school. The ask from the community is $0. We're very fortunate to have both the materials and the labor be currently being donated. The project's been postponed predominantly due to COVID weather, but we're excited to hopefully have it in the spring.
Right now, they're saying they're gonna begin construction, once the weather, turns good.
That's great.
So create a walking, running path around the fields, at the elementary school.
Nice.
Accessory facilities and equipment. The next portion of the proposal are transportation. A little less exciting, but still very important.
Very needed.
Very needed, yeah. There's just 2 proposals for transportation, and I'll give a little context quickly. So Carver Public Schools operates and maintains its own transportation program for our students. That's both our CPL buses and our Assembly vans for special education students. And so doing that, we maintain a fleet as well of those vehicles. The requests for this year are a 71-passenger bus and a wheelchair bus. The wheelchair bus in particular is one that has been needing a lot of maintenance recently. I will say one of the things that I heard today as a theme from almost everyone presented was anytime the past maybe 2 or 3 months that we ask transportation-related vendors about the lead time for any vehicle, you're looking at 8 months to 16 months.
Okay.
So these would be high priority for us because even if it's approved, the lead time is pretty substantial. The last portion is technology. I'll just underscore this at the outset, which is a combination of townwide and school department technology. I work closely with Steve Mahoney, our tech director, to develop this for you. The first proposal is for townwide tech upgrades. That's exactly what it sounds like. That's monitors and keyboards and CPUs refreshing across the town in every department, including the fire department as well. The second is servers, and so this alternates. You can see year in, year out, this changes cost depending on what portion of the server requires upgrade. For FY23, it's a smaller portion of that server. If you're going to ask me deeper questions about how servers work, I don't know if I'm the right guy to answer those for you. But financially, that's a firm estimate on the cost for FY23. Houses all of our files, allows any person within town to sort of within the town, government and schools to connect to their file anywhere within the town. Proposal 3 are network switches. And so, again, our tech folks were kind enough to put that diagram together of what network switches do. They essentially get that information from the internet or your server to your individual devices. Without those, your device is really an expensive paperweight at that point. Proposal 4 is our townwide 2G. We have a fiber optic ring throughout the town. The town's that, gosh.
When we built the new elementary school, so this was part of the upgrade of the building of the new elementary school. We created the 2 gig Wi-Fi broadband fiber line that connects up. Everything except the COA is not connected on that network. So
Too far away.
And this is maintenance of that network, so upgrades as needed, damaged areas. Proposal 5 is the townwide copiers. That's set on a 3-year lease. That's going to be up this year. We're in the process of negotiating that lease now. Again, we negotiate on behalf of all town departments and set every town department up with every 3 years either the same brand of copier but upgraded, or new copiers coming in, so that you get these wonderful presentations in color. Proposal 6 is student devices. So I'm sure you can appreciate many of our students in 2021, 2022, 2023, the past couple of years, especially with the pandemic, have needed devices. And in the previous versions of our capital plan, we had this as an ask every year to start replenishing our Chromebooks. The FCC, about 7 or 8 months ago, put out a grant proposal, RFP, request for proposals for a grant. We were able to put the proposal in, were accepted, and got $350,000 in equipment. So we were able to drop those off of our request for the next 3 years.
That's big.
Nice. Proposal 7 and 8, those are school-specific. Proposal 7, this is part of beginning to cycle through some of the technology at the elementary school. Again, brilliantly beautiful school, and all of that school came with a lot of new technology. That technology is going to start to come to end of life, and we want to get ahead on that cycle, start preparing for cycling out some of the technology. Laptops over the next couple of years, teacher laptops, followed by some of the projector screens and some of the short term projectors as well. In the middle high school, similar idea to what you've heard before when it comes to the infrastructure for the middle high school. This is continuing a program in which we have upgraded the projector system in the middle high school, so they're now projectors, and we're moving them over to touch screens. They're less expensive and they're easier to upgrade.
And they'll have a longer life. So I mean, those two aren't touchscreens, but that one might be one behind you. But so at the middle high school, we've slowly in each department have transitioned from the traditional LCD projector to a touchscreen interactive monitor in every classroom. It replaced the smart board in essence. 10 years ago, everything was a smart board, so there's no smart boards anymore. And really, the TV is totally interactive, so it hooks into the computer. It's touch. It operates as a smart board, but it's really a TV screen, and it has a longer lifespan. There's no bulbs to replace. We were probably, I don't know, I need a comment. Sorry, is that we were probably 6 months away on the elementary school. Like if we got out to procure the technology at the elementary school 6 months later, we would have outfitted that entire building with touchscreens instead of LCD projectors. But that building got like the last model of the smart LCD projectors, and then a year later, no one was doing those anymore, and they were doing the touchscreens. And so that would have probably given us a little more lifespan on some of our technology there. So we're in the process, and we've been doing one department at a time.
I tried to be brief. That brings us to the close. I didn't quite go as fast as I possibly could.
Okay.
But
You guys have questions on anything?
On what you
Yes.
presented, under townwide, on your worksheet here,
Yep.
it says 319,000, that should be 56,000, correct? Because originally it was just one item and everything was underneath townwide technology. It's been extrapolated and everything is listed there.
So I pulled this off of here.
So what's the figure? So,
So you should have.
no, I got it right here, yeah.
Okay, so is that double counted? Is that what you mean?
56,000 there, so that 319 was actually last year's number for the whole townwide, school-wide technology.
So it's double counted, yes.
So it's
Okay.
double counted.
So that the 319 can come off, right?
Yeah, okay.
Right, is that what you said?
56 has to stay on, right? Yes.
Okay.
Your total cost for all these technologies is $340,750. Where you see townwide technology, that's your general materials for townwide technology, that's just 56, and then
Yep.
you see the itemization below it rolls up to that 347.
Yep, I got it. And I think that was in an email that you also sent me. I forwarded to you guys too as well.
Ron, I have a question.
Sure.
And if you don't have an answer, it's okay.
Okay.
On the upgrades on the 2G system. Is that because we have 2G installed? I was just wondering about 2G. You know, you see 3G, 4G, 5G. Is it because we have 2G wire already installed, probably?
I will be frank with you, that's gonna be deeper than my technical.
That's why
I can answer that very
Oh,
low.
okay.
So 2 gig, that's actually the speed of our service.
Okay.
And so we have 2 gig service, and that's you pay for that. It's an upgrade. So the 2 gig service is actually considered very fast.
Okay.
So that's more the modem, correct?
Right.
Not the telephones, like 5G
Correct.
telephones.
Oh, yeah, it's not like your cell phone.
No,
it's
Yeah.
5G.
Oh,
This is your
okay, that's
fiber.
what-
This is the speed of your fiber optic.
That's why I was confusing the two.
This is the speed of your fiber optic line.
Okay.
And the amount of service you can bring into a building.
Okay.
So we need at the schools, we need 2 gig service because of the number of devices that are on. So you need 2 gig service to be able to handle that load of devices. If you didn't have 2 gig service and you put 500 kids on a Chromebook, they're not gonna go.
That was like
Right.
on a phone, it would be speed, but on that, you're talking 2 gig, you're talking about bandwidth.
We're talking bandwidth.
Right.
So yes, the 2 gig refers to bandwidth and the amount of flow that comes off the street.
Okay, so I was mixing the two.
And that 2 gig service is available townwide, town hall, fire, police, both schools.
Okay.
Sometimes I wonder,
Not CLA. not-
sometimes I wonder though in this room.
Yeah.
I lose my signal in this room all the time.
1.9 gig right here,
Yeah. But it has been better though, lately.
They put a new router in there.
Yeah.
Anything else for the schools, guys?
No. Just thank you guys again. I mean,
Yeah, thank you.
I see these guys a lot, so, I know, but, they're steeped in all this, but I appreciate, as always.
I know.
Looking at the budget overall, you guys might not know, but, the school department, we're like the biggest budget in town, but we do everything we can to keep things thin and trim as much as we can. And these guys are the
Appreciate
credit for it,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know this is wonderful. I know this was a lot of work. That's very helpful.
It's not in color though.
It's okay. They're saving money.
That's a bonus, that's not color.
Saving us money.
yeah.
Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, nice seeing you again.
Thank you.
All right, is that it?
So, yeah, so that was all the departments.
Okay.
I know we went
That
through.
was good.
Yeah, that was good, right? I know we went through a lot of these tonight. Do you guys want to set up another meeting to go through everything that we heard tonight and kind of go through the list again? And
Yeah.
I think some stuff needs to be cleaned up on the
Yep.
list.
We'll put a new list together.
I will say-
Let me
Yeah.
get that email out to them, what their
Okay,
priorities.
sure, that would be
And then
wonderful.
we'll bring that to the next meeting.
Yeah, and we do have a few items we can remove,
Yep.
like 2 in fire and adjust the townwide technology.
Yeah, I'll touch base with you once
Okay.
I do that, so that in case I miss something, I was writing things down,
Me
and trying
too.
to listen and.
Marie's
You know,
here, yeah, we're
yeah.
both taking notes, and I'll
Yeah.
rewatch this and stuff.
Yeah.
And the other thing was the culinary classroom for the 460, we can update the spreadsheet of that, see
Yeah.
where we land.
I have a request
Yeah,
about a meeting date.
sure.
I was supposed to have a surgery on my foot on the 20th. Got pushed off to supposedly the 3rd. I'm gonna be laid up for a while, so is there any way I could do it before the 3rd, our next meeting?
Yeah, I can. How about you guys?
Because I might not make it if not.
I wasn't able to get a Zoom link tonight from Mark. Area 58 didn't have one,
Mhm.
but, so I don't know if that's
I
always
mean-
a possibility.
If that would help me a lot, because I'm gonna be recovering for like between
Yeah.
12 and 16 weeks. I need 2 surgeries on my foot. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. So I can work with Area 58 again. They weren't able to get us a link.
Yeah, and you're probably not gonna have any department heads coming in for
No.
that. Even if you wanted to do a full Zoom meeting
Okay.
and just have the meeting
Oh, that
on
might be an
Zoom.
idea, have it virtual.
So we
Sure,
all
we'll
do
that.
the,
Whatever you guys want.
I think that would work.
Be fine by me. Good.
Whatever works for everybody else.
All right.
So we've been doing Thursdays for capital outlay. Do we want to do Thursday again? So you're going in the 3rd, so
Yeah.
do you want to do the 20th or 27th?
Right, 2 weeks from now.
27th?
27th?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay.
Works for me.
Same time?
Same time, 7 PM.
Same bat channel.
27.
I think that will give us time to go through the
Yeah,
list, everything
yeah.
we heard tonight, and see where we're at. Now, I didn't bring it with me tonight, but Rick had another schedule that he would give us, which sort of targeted how much capital we had allocated for the year. Has that changed at all with the budget? Haven't seen that.
So
just-
that might be on that one that said TA copy, on the,
I put TA
on
at
the
the
back
top,
of it,
yes.
on the last page of it. So it'd be the one that has,
So-
you should have two copies, right?
Yeah, so the one that's,
So the one that has the red on the first page, the green
yeah,
is the red.
so he had,
So I think if you look at the back page,
yeah, so he originally had a delta, was, the requests were over by 458,000.
To the last
Sorry.
page?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
last one has like a red line that goes
Okay.
through it. But I believe this is built off of when all the budgets have come in, and then all those budgets are done. And I think that's what plays into all these formulas, so I just wanna make sure the budget's done, so we know exactly how much we have left for capital. For those to
yeah,
be
so,
worked
so
on.
give us a little time to get
Okay.
that together.
Cause initially he had, we had an annual target of 1,700,000.
Yeah. So I think
I'm not sure
we're,
if it's still at 1,700,000 or not.
I mean, we're in better shape by them voluntarily cutting certain things and putting it off
Yeah,
this year, so that's good. That was,
yeah.
it's nice to see the town pull together like that, and the departments pull together, and not go after, the same, it's the same pot of money.
It's
You
been
know,
like that
so-
in Carver for a while now. We
Yeah,
work
I
well
like that.
together,
Yeah,
all the departments, which is
Mhm.
good. There was a time, though, when things weren't so nice.
yeah, most towns, it's,
Yeah.
No, but to me, they seem like they all work together great.
yeah,
From what
yeah,
I've
that's
seen.
what I'm saying, so,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Okay, so this will be good. So we'll meet again in 2 weeks, have some better number of projections at that point and see where we're at. And then we'll give everyone some time to think about what we heard tonight, review the notes, and I'll get the minutes right out to everybody as well.
So were the minutes that you had to approve, I
Yeah.
think you had that on the.
Yeah,
We
have to-
do have minutes to approve. I passed them out to everybody. Do you have, I'm not sure if you read them before or not.
I do.
So we're not part of that, so.
No. So I'll take a motion if anyone has one on the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the Carver Capital Outlay Committee minutes of October 4th, 2021.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. 4-0. The ayes have it. Just make sure we have anything else.
Yeah, I didn't see any problems with them, so,
No, I didn't either. Ashley had done these for us.
right.
Um,
Do we have a
I-
recording secretary? Or?
I asked, but nobody got back to me. So
Okay.
that's why me and Marie have just been taking notes tonight.
'Cause I know
Well-
Summer's doing it by just watching the TV type stuff now too, so.
Oh, they are?
'Cause I know
Okay.
they're having a hard time getting recording secretaries.
Yeah, oh, doing it from the home,
From the.
like after it
from the
comes up.
video, Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
They usually get them on Area 58 within a few days, I think.
yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure if we would have anyone here tonight. I don't have any topics to bring up that have happened in the last 48 hours. Does anyone have any committee comments?
I don't.
But it went very well tonight.
Yeah.
I do too. I thought this went well for everyone. I thought the departments really worked together.
Yep.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
All right, thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Area
Thank you.
58.